not sure exactly what time we got the call. I think it was around 4 o'clock. We found out how much fuel the pilot had, and he said he had 4 hours of fuel. So I wanted him to burn off as much of the fuel that he could, give us plenty of time to get the ground prepared, which he did. He made, I don't know how many flybys. As soon as we found out that he couldn't get the landing gear up, the pilot requested that we put some foam on the runway so that he could make a slide in. And we did that with our equipment, but we contacted the Air Force Base to get one of their big trucks in, so if we had a fire, he could roll in on it and pump foam while he was rolling, like they do at the Air Force Base. We laid the foam blanket down. He came right in on target, slid a straight line right down the foam, and it landed perfectly. There wasn't any sliding or anything. Couldn't have gone a bit better.
Pretty good flyer there.
Never any sparks. I was right behind the plane in a vehicle, following the plane, and there were never any sparks whatsoever. No threat of fire at any time.
I guess there were plenty. This made for plenty of anxious moments.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
This made for plenty of anxious moments.
Oh yes, everybody was anxious, and I suspected the pilot was probably more so than we were, but if something different, and we were all kind of excited about it.
Now, in radio contact, did he have a theory as to why his gear wouldn't come down, or did it collapse?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
One was locked up? Because I noticed the other one just sort of folded when he landed.
I don't know anything about that. You taught me. I was right behind the plane where I could see how it was going to touch down, and it went a perfect straight line until it came to a rest. It never slid, did anything. It was just perfect landing.
Put that stuff down. Put it all down.
Could we get your name and your title first?
My name is Chris Wilson, and I'm the Chief Flight Instructor for North American.
Basically, I guess you've been briefing with the pilots. What basically happened?
They were on a dual training flight practicing commercial maneuvers. They were conducting a simulated forced landing situation from a high altitude, and at the point where they would normally extend the landing gear, when they extended it, the right main landing gear failed to extend fully and to lock down. They then called in by radio and indicated that they had an emergency gear situation, and we took it from there.
How did they manage to land safely?
Every aircraft has a set of emergency procedures, and the pilot and the student just very correctly and professionally exercised the emergency procedures checklist, and we were in constant radio communication with them, talking back and forth.
Does this happen often with these small planes? I mean,
it's a very unusual occurrence.
Was it jammed, or did it just not unlock?
The gear was partially extended. It had left the up and locked position, and at some point during the extension cycle, the gear mechanism failed. For what reason, we have no idea. That'll be determined by a maintenance investigation.
What kind of emotional state are these kids in?
Fine. They're doing very well. It's not a normal occurrence. This doesn't happen very often, but we train for these types of emergencies. So they have been through the procedures training on numerous occasions. They simply exercise their training to the very best of their ability, and I think you all saw the result of that. The pilot, the flight instructor, piloted the aircraft through the landing. His name is Bjorn Erik Dahl, and that's B-J-O-R-N, Erik, E-R-I-K, Dahl, D-A-H-L.
How old is he?
Bjorn Erik, I believe, is 21 or 22.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon?
The other person.
Yeah, the other person was the student on board the flight. His name is Kent Ryan, R-Y-E-N.
And how old is he?
I believe Kent is 19 or 20.
Where's he from?
Kent, I should be able to tell you this. It's either Sweden or Norway. Either way, I'm going to. He is from Norway. Thank you.
How much experience?
One of our senior class students, he has approximately 210, 220 flight hours experience. Bjorn Erik, I would estimate right now is somewhere between 700 and 800 hours total flight experience, probably between 300 and 400 hours experience as a flight instructor.
So they were pretty qualified.
The Conway Fire Department and Horry County EMS go over emergency procedures as a flight instructor and student circle above in a Cessna 172. The landing gear jammed while on a training flight practicing commercial maneuvers.
They were conducting a simulated forced landing situation from a high altitude, and at the point where they would normally extend the landing gear, when they extended it, the right main landing gear failed to extend fully and to lock down.
He said he had 4 hours of fuel, so I wanted him to burn off as much of the fuel that he could, give us plenty of time to get the ground prepared.
A few sparks while gliding along the foamy runway, but a near-perfect landing under the circumstances.
As soon as we found out that he couldn't get the landing gear up, the pilot requested that we put some foam on the runway so that he could make a slide in. And we did that with our equipment, but we contacted the Air Force Base to get one of their big trucks in so if we had a fire, he could roll in on it and pump foam while he was rolling.
The 22-year-old flight instructor, Bjorn Eric Dahl, and his 20-year-old student, Kent Ryan, are unscratched.
The gear was partially extended. It had left the up and locked position, and at some point during the extension cycle, the gear mechanism failed. For what reason, we have no idea.
The cause of the malfunction will not be known until the Federal Aviation Administration completes its investigation. Keith Taylor, WECT News Center, Horry County Bureau.
More than 100 people gathered at the Horry County Airport this evening after hearing that a plane was going to make an emergency landing. The emergency teams quickly hosed down the runway with foam to prepare for the worst. The occupants of the plane, which was similar to this one, had to circle for more than 2 hours before emergency landing. Officials say the cause was in a faulty landing gear that wasn't fully extended.
When they extended it, the right main landing gear failed to extend fully and to lock down. They then called in by radio and indicated that they had an emergency gear situation, and we took it from there.
Once he decided that he couldn't get the landing gear down properly, he instructed us or asked us to put some foam on the runway to give him a cushion so when he had to land, he would have something to slide in on.
Although shaken up a bit, flight instructor Bjorn Dahl and student Kent Ryan suffered no injuries in the landing, but officials and bystanders alike say they all were on edge.
Well, I think everybody was a little tense, probably the pilot more than anybody else, but it was an experience.
In Horry County, Eric Chilton, WPDE, Action News.
Teddy Sayer the phone. Uses batteries. One from? I don't know. Uses batteries like. I want one, but I don't know. I just want you wouldn't use it.
Shit.
No, I wouldn't use it for real shit. That first year I'll probably get one. I've been thinking about it. Have some more bills paid off. And
Like 12 or something.
I gotta find me a damn radio.
People die at night. You just never know when a seal on the beach will be
I
coming.
had the opportunity to sell that one. I should have sold it.
You mean the one that was in for Honda?
Yeah, now it's fucked up and I ain't got no radio. So it just
Come here, take some notes.
I'll say the phone get over there.
Hands are ready. Give me some strength to save some life. Whatever be it take.
As you know,
Help
I
me
remember
bless
James
the
now.
little child before it's too late.
So I
To
treated
save
that.
another person from
Well, we haven't ruled out the
the
possibility of an accident.
enable me to be alert.
Yeah. Well, you'd like to know what we got. No. Coffee?
Street.
Medic 6, Temple. Swimming pools. Fingerprints. Something always floats up. What would bother you more than this?
Have you shown this 20 Henry?
Just got it.
Someone as stupid as Pullman getting away with murder.
You like the EOS, Canon
No
EOS?
difference. All murder is stupid, John.
Damn, that shit's cheap.
Wouldn't you agree?
Flashes.
Mannix, not going to take bribes. Mannix is going to be a court judge. And Mannix ascends the bench. You will leave all his sins behind.
Can you see the names clear? Some of them.
Let me summarize. Love you. Can you say solution? You kill a woman who's half dead. Is it half a crime? He's already one.
Yeah.
Shit. Good.
Only you, Charlie. Only you.
Say it over here.
I wanted to take my car and have plenty of gas. Plenty of gas.
A blessed accident.
Charlie,
Over
the
here,
least you
Roland.
can do is get me my hat.
I suppose accidents can be made to happen. For the tapes.
Oh.
Usually, when you send flowers out of town, you give the order to somebody who takes a cut.
Where I work.
Flowers direct. That actually lets you speak to a florist in the town where you're sending the flowers. Flowers direct. Well, we cut is the middleman. Call Flowers Direct now. 1-800-621-2121.
Alright, bye. To the front seat of my truck, it's a lot, but come on in. He ain't got a fucking bit of sense, does he? You want me to fill up my car while I'm out? F1?
You want to go to the trouble to open the gate and all that shit?
I don't give a shit. I mean,